Okay. So high voltage engineering laboratory, very first experiment that is about the study of high voltage equipments, uh, and it's not only equipment, understanding high voltage lab, and so also understanding the procedures, safety precautions, and other important things before we handle it. Okay, so let us move ahead. Please realize the very first point of discussion here is the purpose of high voltage laboratories. Why high voltage laboratories are there at various places at national and international levels, and even in the study for the electrical engineers. So you must realize that basically high voltage labs are meant for the purpose of testing of power equipments, testing of power system equipments. Now, which type of power system equipments are to be tested? We must realize when we talk about the high voltage, the power system equipment that come under the category of high voltages, they are mainly the transmission part of the system. Okay, mainly transmission network, because the power generation takes place at, let us say, 12 to 15 kV at the thermal power station. Then it will be stepped up to, let us say, 220 kV or 400 kV, and then again at the load end it will be stepped down to 11 kV, 33 kV, or even 440 volts for three phase. Okay, 230 volts for a single phase. So the transmission network has three major components: generation, transmission, distribution. So high voltages are mainly encountered in this area of transmission network, transmission lines. So various equipments are there which are used in the power system, like step-up transformers, right? The transmission lines, line insulators, lightning arresters, okay, transmission towers, all those things. So these all require testing. Line conductors, testing is to be done. Before we use them at one particular voltage level, they must be tested in the lab first. So naturally, for testing them, we need to generate those conditions in the lab. That is why high voltage laboratories are used. Next, it is essential for planning and designing of transmission system. As I said, transmission system is where you encounter the high voltages mainly. Okay, and of course, you realize that transmission takes place at high voltages in order to achieve economy of power transmission, to minimize the losses. Okay, and to maintain the voltage profile. That's why voltages are stepped up for long distance transmission. So whenever you want to plan and design a transmission network, we require inputs from testing of power system equipments. We must know what is the voltage level, and accordingly things can be tested and planned. Planning and designing transmission system can be done through proper testing, okay, and designing. It will lead to reliable and economic operation of transmission system. If we plan properly, if we design equipment properly, then they will give us reliable service without failing at a given voltage level, without failing for any fault. Okay, and it will be economical as well. We want to protect, we want to use a transmission line at high voltages, but we want to do it at a minimum cost. So economy is very, very important. It is all possible because of the designing, planning, and testing. Okay. Then further, we would like to investigate the effect of lightning and switching impulse voltages on various power transmission equipments. Lightning, right? It's a natural phenomena, but it carries a large amount of energy, and you must realize that the transmission network it is completely exposed to the lightning phenomena, especially where when there is a bad weather, isn't it? And the weather cycle, you realize that nearly 3 to 4 months, it's a rainy season and lightning can strike anytime, and it carries huge amount of static energy. If it discharges onto the transmission line, our equipment should not get damaged, rather they should provide some kind of safety. So the equipment which can provide safety to the transmission network requires investigation of lightning and switching impulse voltages. So these voltages, we'll learn the methods how to generate this kind of voltages in the lab. How to generate these voltages in the lab. Various methods we are going to study in theory. Some of the methods we are going to see in the practical. The purpose of high voltage laboratories is also to calibrate high voltage measurement systems. We would like to measure high voltages. In order to find out how much is the voltage at which the particular equipment is being tested, we must know the proper methods for testing or for measuring the high voltages. So these apparatus which are to be used for measurement, they also themselves require calibration, and that calibration can be done through the high voltage laboratories as well. Okay, calibration of the high voltage measuring apparatus. Then the next point is transient voltages of long duration. Transient voltages. So generally, transient voltages are due to the switching operation that take place. We would like to understand what is the behavior of the transient voltages due to switching and what is their impact on the power system components, maybe generators, motors, right? Although these surges are present on the transmission side, but their impact is there on the equipment which are there on the generation side and the load side. So that study is also required and can be done. What is the impact of such voltages on cables if it is underground transmission of power in some cases, like in case of DC? Okay, so these are the various purposes for which the high voltage laboratories are designed, and they are to be tested. Right. Next. So what are the types of high voltage labs that are prominently being available in places within educational institutions, within research institutions, or the power system utilities testing laboratories? Okay. First and foremost, based on the size. First and foremost, it is based on the size of the equipment. What are the various options? Naturally, based on size, so there can be smaller laboratories like the one which is available in our college, or then the medium-sized laboratories. Okay, maybe available in some of the government institutions like government engineering colleges or other colleges where the funds are plenty and they have medium-sized laboratories. Even in government college of engineering Pune, I have seen medium-sized labs. Okay, then general purpose laboratories where calibration and other things are carried out, and ultra high voltage laboratories. Okay, ultra high voltage laboratories. So these are generally used by the Department of Science and Technology, CSIR. Okay, or CPRI, Central Power Research Institute, which is responsible for conduction of testing very high voltages, right? So they have the ultra high voltage, very costly equipments, very large size, so enormous. Those who have visited places, there are labs are there in Bangalore and Hyderabad. So the size of the equipment is very huge, and so also the rating. Okay. Next is based upon the type of construction, the high voltage laboratories they can be classified as indoor laboratories or outdoor laboratories. Okay, indoor laboratories like the one which we have at our college. It's an indoor laboratory, is inside the building, inside a particular hall, right? And then we have the outdoor laboratories. Okay, now indoor laboratories generally they are suitable for small and medium-sized laboratories. Okay, this is because for the indoor laboratories the space that is available at our dispense is limited, right? Indoor labs. Because of the clearance and spacing required for the high voltage laboratories, indoor laboratories they are generally designed in such a manner that voltage levels are small or medium. Okay, maybe 100 kV, 200 kV, like that. But if you're supposed to test ultra high voltage level, maybe 1500 kV, 2000 kV, in that case, outdoor laboratories are preferred. This is because such a high amount of electrostatic field is created near such high voltage, ultra high voltage of 1500 kV. Okay, it is not possible to limit such kind of testing facility within some indoor premises, uh, because because of the electric field that is generated. Such strong electric field, it has a tendency that it tends to create uh, charged objects, okay, nearby, and clearances that are required for proper operation of indoor labs cannot be justified. Okay, so for very high voltages, outdoor laboratories only are preferred, and you realize that actually the outdoor laboratories, they do have certain limitations with respect to the testing, because when the laboratories are outdoor, naturally, what will happen is that these testing conditions will be exposed to atmospheric conditions. Okay, the tests which are being conducted in the outdoor laboratory, they will be sensitive to the presence of moisture, variation of temperature, time of the day, so sunlight, rains, maybe dust, and all those things. It will be exposed to the atmospheric conditions. So naturally, as we study the subject, you will realize that due to the variation in the atmospheric conditions, the results that are obtained from the testing of outdoor laboratories, these are subject to variation. Okay, because atmospheric condition keep changing, the moisture, the humidity, the temperature. Okay, these all conditions keep continuously changing and affect the air density. Now, why we are worried too much about the air? Because you might realize that all transmission and power equipment, they are exposed to air. Basically, transmission lines are exposed to air. So their behavior in the outdoor is to be studied, but the results that are obtained for outdoor testing, even if you want to test, maybe let us say, if it's raining and how will the insulator behave like. So the wind will affect the orientation of artificial rain that is created for the testing of outdoor laboratories. Indoor laboratories, they have the advantage that the ambient conditions, they can be controlled to a large extent, and the results that are obtained from the indoor laboratory tests, they are quite consistent, and we are able to rely much more on it. Okay, so this is the classification of high voltage laboratories based on the size, that is small, medium, general purpose, and ultra high voltage laboratories. UHV basically means ultra high voltage, and based on construction, they can be indoor laboratories or outdoor laboratories. Okay, let us now move on. Dimensions of high voltage laboratories. Okay, as I said, that the laboratories can be small, medium, large, or they can be indoor, outdoor. So what care has to be taken as far as dimensions of HV labs are concerned? Okay, so first and foremost point here is you can mention, see that high voltages, they produce strong electric field surrounding them, right? So strong electric fields. So you can imagine that there is a live conductor which we usually experience if we are moving out of the town, right? Uh, we come across very big towers, transmission towers. Maybe while traveling by train also, we can experience them more frequently. Transmission towers are there, and they carry maybe 3 or 6 line conductors on them, and they are at high voltages. Okay, if you visit thermal power stations, there also you'll be able to see the high voltage substation part, where the voltage are 400 kV or higher. Even in some medium and large scale industries, the voltage levels are 132 kV, okay, and so on. So if you happen to see the station from a place nearby, what you realized that there is some kind of noise present near those live conductors. Okay, of course we cannot go close to it, but even if you're standing at a safe distance on ground, uh, we can experience that there is some kind of a hissing noise heard below the transmission line conductors. That is because of the presence of a strong electric field. This electric field, what it does is that due to the very high value of charges, high voltage, the voltage has a tendency to ionize are not visible to the bare eyes, right? And so also the electric field which is present surrounding high voltage objects, we cannot see with our bare eyes, okay? But it is present and it has a tendency to affect the object, to charge the object. So the second point here comes very important is that related to the dimensions of HV lab is safety. The personnel or the equipment need to be protected. The personnel or equipment need to be protected. If a personnel is involved in the testing, naturally there is a certain specified standard of spacing or distancing and even the grounding, okay, and shielding of those equipments while a personnel is working or testing, okay. Personnel means an engineer or a scientist, or like a student, like you're doing it in the high voltage lab. So you require protection from the invisible electric field. Field is not visible. We will apply high voltage, so our meters will show that voltage is being applied. But something which is invisible and maybe affecting us, maybe charging us indirectly, is in the form of electric field. So how do we get protected? We need some level of protection, right? So primarily the protection is provided in the form of spacing. We have to stand certain maybe 6 to 10 meters away from such energized object depending upon the voltage level. If the voltage level is 100 kV, we may be standing 6 to 12 feet away. If the voltage level is 400 kV, we have to stand it further larger distance. And voltage level is 1500 kV, the distance may be several tens of meters. Okay, so enough spacing and clearances must be provided in the lab. So all this is coming under deciding the dimensions of HV lab. We cannot have a HV lab in a very small room which is of the size of 10 feet by 10 feet. It's not possible. HV lab has to be large. There has to be enough spacing, enough clearance in order to be safe from the electric field, effect of the electric field, right? So, but still, how can we guarantee how much space is required and whether we are standing at a safe distance? Are we still safe? Okay. So the second line of defense against this particular electric field, I must say not the second line, rather the first line. Okay. Second line is the spacing and clearance. The first line of defense is a Faraday cage. Faraday cage. We are going to see how the Faraday cage looks like in some of the photographs at later stage. Faraday cage is nothing but a metallic cage which is solidly grounded and which is completely casing the high voltage equipment that is being tested. जो high voltage equipment है, let us say spear gap arrangement or maybe some high voltage transformer or some electrodes which will be energized for the purpose of testing. Naturally, they will be energized from a long distance through some sort of a switch. Wire or cable will be there outside and we'll be able to switch on and switch off through some control panel. That control panel also has got some level of safety. Okay, so Faraday's cage is used for providing the shielding against the electric field, right? So you have to remember that electric fields, they are shielded with the help of Faraday cage. It is a cage which is effectively grounded. Okay. Now, why would like to use the Faraday cage? Okay, a person standing on insulated platform. We are all, like when we work in the lab, we are all on insulated platform. Okay, because we are wearing some level of footwear which is generally of insulating material, maybe rubber or something, isn't it? So we are all standing on insulated platform and we are at a risk of getting charged. We'll come across some equations at a later stage which will tell us that a person has got certain capacitance with respect to ground, who is standing, let us say, 1 feet or 2 feet above the ground on some insulated platform, maybe a wooden stand or some kind of a dais, podium. It has a person having certain defined weight will have a capacitance. Okay, so this capacitance has a tendency to get charged from the invisible electric field surrounding a particular testing facility. Okay, and naturally, when the person gets charged, as long as he is standing on insulated platform, he will not come to know much. But the seriousness of this particular charging mechanism is resulted, as indicated here at the bottom, that electric shock may result due to static induction. Charges are there on a person when the person touches the ground and the body discharges. Okay, electric shock may result, and sometimes the charges may be large enough that this shock may turn out to be very fatal one. Okay, so this is not because of touching the live high voltage conductor also. That's very dangerous. It's only because of the static induction. Electric field was present, person got charged, but as soon as he removes his footwear or tries to touch some metallic object which is grounded, so whatever charge is there on him, it will flow through his body and his hand and also to the ground. It may cause an electric shock. If charges are sufficient enough, then the shock may prove fatal. So that is what the danger and utmost safety is to be taken while working in the high voltage laboratory. So that is provided by the Faraday's cage. Okay. And apart from the Faraday's cage, there are experimental procedures, safety precautions, right? Rubber mats and all. Everything is used in the lab in order to provide the safety from any direct uh, implication of electric shock. Okay. Next we come to the point where high voltage equipments that are available in our department, they are listed here. So generally, if you try to find search equipments which are generally used for the purpose of high voltage laboratory, there are a wide range of equipments. But I am just listing here what equipments are available in our department. That is a high voltage transformer, single phase, input voltage is to 30 volt, and output voltage, you can observe the highest voltage which we can generate in our department laboratory is 100 kV. Okay, so that is 100 into 10 raised to 3, that is 1 lakh volts. Okay, and it is provided by yet another very important thing that we are going to learn in the theory as well, is a cascaded unit. Okay, there are two small transformers of 50 kV each. 50 kV each, they are connected in cascade. 50 kV each, they are connected in cascade to obtain 100 kV total. Instead of using a single 100 kV transformer, 250 kV transformers are connected. That we are going to check in the video, and so also in some photographs that are included here that I am going to show. Okay. Now, next is we have a spear gap assembly with the motorized control spacing. Spear gaps, actually these are spherical electrodes which are mounted either vertically or horizontally. In our lab, we are mounting these in a vertical manner, and high voltage is applied across the spherical electrodes. One electrode is grounded, other electrode is energized from high voltage, and certain testing can be carried out, like calibration of voltmeter or breakdown of air, the standard spacing. This is tested using spear gap assembly. So spear gap, it can be used for measuring unknown high AC voltages, DC voltages, impulse voltages, all kind of voltages. So very important equipment, spear gap, right? Next is a solid insulator testing machine we have, where we can test the paper, cardboard, and other solid insulator. It can provide a voltage range up to 0 to 25 kV. Very compact unit, and when it's a sort of a portable, can be kept on normal this lab table. We are going to check with the experiment. That is their solid insulator testing machine. Two electrodes are there across which we can place suitable sample and apply voltage up to 25 kV. Then we have got horn gap assembly. Okay, so horn assembly, it is mainly a type of a lightning arrestor. We are going to check the operation, how the horn gap assembly works. Okay, this works at a voltage of 20 kV as well. And then we have Faraday cage, as I mentioned, for the safety, and other personal equipments like the rubber gloves, rubber mat, and other like safety signboards are placed at places where an unknown person, when he enters the lab, he must know that his testing is in progress. So Warning signboards are also a part of safety equipment that are used, not exactly equipment, but safety procedure you may consider. Okay, so these are the various high voltage equipments. Now let us check with some of the actual photographs of our lab. This is the horn gap assembly. Okay, and it is showing an arc struck across the horn like electrodes here, isn't it? We are going to see this experiment demo as well and a clear cut understanding of horn gap experiment. One experiment is based upon horn gap apparatus. Okay, so this is screen grab of that one. Then next is, as I was saying, that we have got 100 kV output voltage available to two transformers. So you can see this one is one of the transformers, and this is another transformer. This one is kept at the ground level. This one is kept at insulated platform at a higher voltage level. Okay, so these are connected in cascade. This can provide 50 kV. This transformer can provide 50 kV. Here I am standing very close to it because the whole unit is unenergized and it is grounded. Okay, so all safety procedures are followed. I have entered here. We generally demonstrate it, de-energizing all the circuit and to have a closer observation. While testing, it is not possible to stand inside like this. Okay, and you can also see here the sphere gap assembly is visible. There are two metallic spheres. They are 10 centimeter. Okay, 10 centimeter in radius, and it has got certain arrangement for mounting them. That is also visible here. Next, this is a closer look at the sphere gap. Sphere gaps are there made up of copper. Okay, and you can see top electrode and then there is a bottom electrode is grounded and there is an arrangement at the bottom. Okay, this bottom arrangement, it is required for measuring the spacing between the two electrodes. We can measure the spacing between the two electrodes using this particular distance measurement dial, right? So this is a sphere gap assembly. This is a stand. Okay, and sphere, this spacing can be adjusted remotely by using, there is a motorized control inside this. Okay, and this dial shows the spacing between the two electrodes. This is in millimeters. Okay, here you can see there is a cage visible. Those who have visited high voltage laboratory due to one or the other work earlier while studying second year also or at the first year level induction program, they might have seen. Okay, this is a control panel. From here we are able to control the voltage applied to the cascade transformer inside. Okay, similarly from here you can see there is one cable here, and along with that some switching this thing is there. With this we are able to adjust the spacing between the spheres. So various controls are here. Okay, meters are here. So this is control panel. You can see it looks very similar to what is available in the industries or the electricity boards. Okay, and this cage you can see it is providing clearance, and so also this cage is effectively solidly grounded. There are three different grounds used for connecting this cage, so that there is a reliability. If one of the ground fails or if there's something wrong, second will work, and if that fails, third will work. So three line of defenses are there. Okay,